All right, guys, I'm back again with another assembly video. This is going to be for, again, one of my older kits, but it's one that I've been needing to do an assembly video for a while. I'm trying to go back and do assembly videos for all of them. But also, as I am now making also resin versions of these kits, I'm going through and also reshooting the video or doing the video for the first time. And the videos will be the video will be the same assembly for the FDM or the resin version. This is, of course, as the title says, this is my Mando Old Republic Mandalorian, not Mandalorian, just my Old Republic blaster. So let's get this out. And this is the resin version. But the FDM print version is the exact same assembly, like I said. Get this out of the way here. So what we have, let me swap cameras there. Let me grab my spectacles here. And what we have is, it's the same normal stuff. There might be some like white dust on here from me running some of these parts across the belt sander to smooth out edges from where they print. But so we have our grip, we have our body, the main barrel. This is especially formulated extremely tough resin, beyond the normal tough resin. This is like tough resin. It is significantly stronger than the normal FDM printed kits, which they're strong as hell anyways, but these are a lot stronger. But the biggest advantage of them is that they are smooth and ready to paint. You know, this cuts about 99% of your prep work when you're dealing with the FDM print, you know, with the filler primer, prime sand, get it ready, you know, for your base coats. I've tested about 15 or 20 different brands of spray paint on this resin. And without primer, it sticks absolutely perfect, and you can't get it back off. You can sand this primer. It sands beautifully, 500-600 grit. You can sand, and when you're done sanding, there's not a reason to prime or go with a higher grit to make it even smoother. Literally 500-600 grit, it still sands nice and smooth and beautiful. So here's our parts, our orange tip. We've got our trigger, and we've got our scope bracket. And little stuff like this I'll show you, like in the bag that's got a curve to it just from being in the bag with the kit. This all gets locked down, but you see how flexible these thinner parts are, which is a great thing, because once you get this together and the scope on here locks this part straight, and then it of course glues to the body. It's extremely good, rigid, but it still allows some flex in your stuff, which is what you want. Some people are like, no, I want a tough resin that's extremely hard. Hard and tough only coincide when you're talking about like surface finish and mild impact resistance. If you want something that's impact resistance, resistance to accidental dropping, especially something this big, you need to have some flex to it. You know, ABS-like BS resins that never have been ABS-like, and there's no quality about them that are ABS-like, none whatsoever. That was one of those key words that I don't want to say every, because there's some resin manufacturers out there is like, this is you know, bullshit. That there's nothing about this that's ABS like. It doesn't act like ABS. It doesn't flex like ABS. It doesn't handle impact like ABS. Nothing about it is ABS like. It's just better than standard resin. And you know, it's always that, you know, gold, platinum, silver, or whatever tier people find different things as like high and low tier stuff. So anyway, so what we're just going to jump right into this. You know, I updated this kit a few years back to include a spring-loaded trigger. It didn't always have one. So some of you guys may have this kit that doesn't have the spring-loaded trigger, but for the past 3 or 4 years, I think it has had that. But we're going to go ahead and jump right in to go ahead and get this built. Before we attach the barrel and all that stuff, while it's still easy to maneuver, we have a set screw here. And no, the head's not missing. It's made for an Allen wrench to go in there. And what I do is I use a little Allen little nut driver set here, with never having the right bit handy, because that's would make life too easy. And let me see if I can find the right one real quick. There we go. So this is a 16 millimeter long metric. So this is a 1.5 millimeter set screw. So it's a 1.5 millimeter Allen wrench that you need. And what I do is just pick either side and stick it to the hole. If y'all have watched my other videos, like I always tell you, look down one side, do a little twist, look the other way, do a little twist the other way until it gets started. And the cool thing about this resin is this is self-tapping. The screw will self-tap tap its own threads. That's literally the definition of self-tapping. Talk about a redundant statement there. So anyways, I screw it in just until it starts protruding on this side. And if you look down inside the body here, you see a hole down in there. That's the spring pocket. So you're just going to sit your spring down in there. And if you notice on the back of your trigger here, it's got a spring pocket as well. So from whichever side you want the trigger facing forward, you just want to take that and kind of hold your mouth just right. And the hole we're shooting for is right there. So we're going to put this trigger in here. We're going to kind of work it around. Sometimes you got to put two fingers in there. We're going to start screwing this in. And if this starts spreading the body apart, you know you've missed the hole. Got to hold tension down and hold it that direction at the same time. You just got to kind of hold your mouth right. Start screwing in. Okay, so I hit the hole, but I'm going to now help the screw out a little bit and hold some tension down on this just to keep it level until I get to the other side. And if I started my screw straight, it's hard to see through my fingers there, I'm sorry. If I started my screw straight, this will hit the other side of that hole without a problem and screw right in. So now this is what we have. Nice and, tight spring in there, good to go, no issues. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and, you know what, we'll put the grip on just because we've got this long 45 millimeter screw to put in. So I'm going to grab my Phillips screwdriver here. You want one that fits good because this is kind of a long screw. But if you notice holes here, it fits in the body one way. So we're going to put it in there. We're going to angle this up. Some of y'all asked, are all these parts fully solid? No, they're not. That would be kind of counterproductive. From when something's solid, it seriously reduces its impact resistance, because the thing about resins or liquid to solid, whatever, resins or whatever, when they're solid, and the thing about an impact is it's the shock wave. So if you have a solid object and you introduce a shock to it, that shock wave travels. As that shock wave travels, it creates waves, ripples, stress as it's traveling through that. And if it's solid, that shock can build up enough to where it literally explodes, shatters. So you see some cheaper, like 3D printing resin that literally shatters when it breaks. That is the biggest reason not to do something solid. Plus, if I did this solid, it would weigh about probably 3.5 times more than the FDM version. This version right now, the way it is, already weighs a little bit more than the FDM version, but you don't want one solid because of the weight, but overall you automatically start stealing strength Now, by the way, you can put glue and glue your grip on and then put the screw in, which I would suggest you do, which I was sitting here talking and didn't bother to do that. So here we go. That's our trigger and all that good stuff. This big old peg, we're going to take this and it will go down in the body like that. This is 2 pieces instead of having a pet like just like these are, having a notch out here that notches in. This adds a lot of nice body strength. That's something with the FDM kit, but also this kit. These are identical. There are very minor changes that I do between my FDM and resin prints. I might change a piece here or there, or there might be a piece that is actually printed with a little bit like less flexural, piece that would be like a small piece, like on my Robocop. There's a slide linkage that I've found out that as thin as it is not a good candidate to be printed in this, but the whole kit is printed in this. So then what I've done is that linkage specifically is printed in a harder resin, doesn't have as much flex, but it serves its job for that point where that linkage gets pulled back and forth. So we'll just spray that and lock that in place. And while that dries, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put glue around the inside edge of this, a pretty good amount. And then I'm going to put a little bit right on the 45-degree edge of both of these little pegs here. And then we'll get this jammed together. The barrel is the same top and bottom, so you don't have to worry about screwing that up. I do need to get some of this dried glue off of here, if I can. Shit, that's going to stick somewhere. I didn't see where it went. Anyways, so let's get this. Also heat resistant. It's not super high heat resistant. It's about the same or more than the normal FDM kits. This will flex more if you get it hot, but it will go back to its shape when it cools down. And if it doesn't, like if you leave it in your car and damage it, which I suggest don't do, but if you happen to leave it in your car, you can always, and you can't get it to go back to its normal, fully normal state, you could always put it back in the car, not in the oven or anything like that, in something that's going to fully evenly heat it. And don't get it as hot as it did when you ruined it, but just heat it back up and then kind of pull it out, and you can pull it back to shape. Hold it, and as it cools down, it will finally set back into its original printed shape. It's very good at that. All right, so there, that's all nice and together, nice and strong. So now what we'll do is our scope bracket goes into this back hole here, notch, matching notches, that goes back here. And you know, I do make this in left scope and right scope mount. See, that presses right down in there, so the scope's on this side or this side. And you know, in the Star Wars universe, they always put the scope to the outside because it looks the best in a holster. But if you're trying to shoot a gun, the scope setting off to the side doesn't work. I mean, I guess you could make it work. Shoot it on either side doesn't really work. Being on top is where it needs to be. But for setting in a holster, you know, you've got like this and you've got the scope coming down the outside of the holster. It looks pretty damn cool. So that's kind of what I did when I designed this. So I'm going to pop this back off. I'm going to get my glue out. And I'm giving it a minute to let the activator I sprayed on here dissipate, because I don't want to start putting glue in here and it instantly start setting and screwing myself. So I want to start with the back here, and I'm just going to kind of gush me some glue into that hole. And I'm going to gush me some glue into that hole. And I'm going to pop that in and then pop that in. Push down on that. and spray. So again, speaking about the hollow and the solid, the majority of all of these, like the Judge Dredd here, on these, I think this is 4 millimeter thick walls. On this Terminator, I think they're 2.5 millimeter thick. Just, you know, it really depends on the size of the part, on how thick the walls need to be. On this, I think this is 2.5 millimeters thick. Keeps it from being so damn heavy, but also keeps to where flexing, you know, in this is a good thing. And again, if you happen to leave this somewhere like at a Comic-Con and something's sitting on it and where it's not hot and you pull it out and it's bowed, it's going to come back. But if it doesn't hit 100% the direction you want it to be, just bow it back that way and stop. And it's not 100% memory forming, but it's extremely good at recovering to where it needs to be. Okay, so on the scope here, we're going to glue this together. Now it goes this way. This is the bottom side. You see this notch and notch. We need those lined up because the scope's got to go on this bracket, just like that. And we need to glue it together. So kind of what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take glue and I'm going to put it down in here, stick this together, don't spray activator on it, and go ahead and push it down on our bracket. And once we get it set and held where we want to, we'll hit it with some activator. When that dries, we'll pull this off of there, put some glue inside of here, and put our scope back on. See how easy I made that sound? Doesn't mean so. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to just squish me glue all down in here and maybe a tad bit up on the edge. I'm going to jam this puppy together. I'm going to take this. I'm going to cram it down in there. Now I am going to use my belly here. There we go. I am going to spray that and I'm going to let it set for a minute. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit this other side again too. By the way, this stuff sands so beautifully. Like 500-600 grit sand at it. Like if you want to take something off or you got something where you don't want it, just sand it a bit and you're good to go. 500-600 leaves it smooth enough that you can paint right over it and you won't see sand lines. It's very nice. All right, so I'm going to come in here. And just for reference, I'm not going to glue my orange tip on yet because I'm going to paint this one. There's a lot of replicas that I've made that I've never had the chance to paint. A lot of the times Michael with Fan Fiction Props will paint the versions when I'm done with them. Just because I just, for most of the part, for most time, I don't have the time because by the time I sit down, spend all the hours modeling it, test printing, changing, test printing, changing, making an assembly video, getting all that stuff done, I literally don't have time. And Michael makes like all the matching stuff to go with my stuff. Like he makes a holster for this, a belt, belt and holster combo and stuff. All right, so there we go. We've got all our stuff together. Got our functioning trigger here. Looks all good. Again, once you're done painting, you're required to glue your orange tip on here. I have nothing to do with that. That is your responsibility per the law. There's my disclaimer, blah, blah, blah. There it is. So here is the Old Republic blaster. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy these resin versions because damn, that's one, like, that kills me whenever I go to want to paint one of mine because of the prep work that I got to do on the FDM ones. This, I can sit down, break out my airbrush or my spray paint and get after it, and I'm ready to go. If you guys have any questions, just leave a comment, go to the website, shoot me a, an email or whatever. Please like and subscribe because it helps get these videos out, which it helps get it in front of people. People see it, they're like, hey, that's cool. They go to the website, they buy one that allows me to continue to make more and all types of different props and stuff. So, that's kind of the way it works. But I appreciate it. Thank you guys.